Joining us now, let's talk some politics. We got Clay Travis, co-host of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show, and Gianno Caldwell, Fox News political analyst. Hello to both. Clay, pardon my producers, what's the name of your great book?
Balls. It is selling well. Hotcakes. Thank you, Larry. And it's all about how in the world can we get young men to continue to stand behind common sense, the Republican agenda, and also, to a certain extent, how do we expand that coalition to women?
All right. So while I have you here, did the Republicans lose some of that agenda last week in Virginia and New Jersey? I'm going to separate out New York, but in Virginia and New Jersey, did they lose some of that agenda?
I don't think so, but I think the real issue, as we talked about last week, is how in the world can the Trump voters, who are not always willing to show up when Trump's not on the ballot, how can that sort of coalition continue to show up in the midterms in 2026? And then also, I think the biggest question Republicans have out there is how do we transfer that mantle of Trump support to whomever the candidates are going to be in 2028. Mark my words, very soon you're going to start to see Democrats pivot from Trump's Hitler, he's an unbelievable authoritarian threat to the government, to he's the most uniquely talented Republican presidential candidate of any of our lives. And the Republicans are never going to be able to remake that coalition without him. Get ready. It's going to be a head-spinning pivot, but it's coming.
Gianno, what about Mondami and socialism? How does that play into it? I mean, I'm very tired of reading how young people are all socialists and polls show people are socialists. I don't really believe any of that stuff, but that's just me. The question is, politically, how important is this socialist stuff? Not only Mondami, but his camp followers, Bernie Sanders, AOC in the Congress. What do you think?
I think that it's going to depend on the results for a lot of people. A lot of young folks don't know what socialism is. It sounds good. Hey, we're going to give you free this, free that. Abolish prisons, obviously, is a very dangerous concept to me. Defunding the police is a very dangerous concept to me, especially after the tragic loss of my baby brother in Chicago, innocent kid. But certainly, that's what it's going to depend on. How does this thing actually work out? And what it looks like is Kathy Hochul is putting cold water on the fact that she's going to raise taxes on the wealthy and give free buses. But still in all, this is a person who has no executive experience. The only job he's had outside of being on the council is for an organization where I believe he managed 4 or 5 employees. He's somebody who's going to fumble the bag, as the young people would say. Certainly he's going to be a danger, and Republicans should highlight that, as many people are leaving New York City out of concern and fear for what Mondani will do.
Do you know, Clay, I think the stock market boom is predicting an economic boom, which is all about capitalism and rejects socialism, okay? And the proof is in the pudding, okay? The proof of the pudding is in the eating, okay? So whatever cliche you want, I'm just telling you, if this is right, if the stock market boom is telling us that we have a business boom on our hands, that's going to translate to consumers. This is a Trumpian boom. It is the antithesis of Mondami's goofy socialism and, Soviet supermarkets and that nonsense. I just think we're going to prove it because it works. Capitalism works. That other stuff doesn't work.
That's true.
I think you're 100% right. And I think Gianno hit on this correct, which is young people, one of the great flaws, maybe the biggest flaw of capitalism is it works so well that people can start to think that maybe they can change, and capitalism isn't the reason. They have the luxury and the time to argue that socialism makes more sense. I wish Mondani, instead of going to Puerto Rico, had taken a trip down to Cuba to celebrate his mayoral election so he could see what government-run superstores look like and why people still have to drive around in cars from 1948. But I agree with you, Larry. I think what the stock market is telling us is next year we are set to have the biggest boom maybe that we have seen in most of our lives. And I would point out, if you remember, pre-COVID, February 2020 is probably the greatest economy we've ever had in our lives. That was the Trump economy 1.0. I think the Trump economy 2.0 is going to be even better by this time next year, certainly. But I think by the spring and summer, we're going to be firing on all economic cylinders.
See, Gianno, I just think that's right. I mean, I just think that that people are underestimating the economy, okay? And the economy is going to be everything. It's going to be everything in the election next year. And if that performs, what are these socialists going to do? Sit around and whine about how great it is in Caracas, okay? How about that? Much less Havana. Or you know, Moscow on the Hudson. I've seen this movie before. It never pans out. Capitalism always wins. We're going to get an illustration of that, I think, ahead of us, Gianno. I mean, I'm so optimistic here.
You know who's not underestimating the economy? The Democrats. They did the shutdown and they pursued it so hard and so long because they knew that we would lose so much money in our GDP, estimates of $15 billion, if not more. They knew that Donald Trump was setting the economy on fire and they wanted to put an end to it. Look at the trade deals. Look at the balancing with China. Look all over. We're seeing results under Donald J. Trump. And that's what they mostly fear. They don't want to have those kind of results going into a midterm elections, but they will.
Yeah, they tried to sabotage it. You're 100% right. And the stock market ignored the whole thing. I love it. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you. Clay Travis, Gianno Caldwell, you're both terrific.
Thank you.
See you soon.